Remember, shouting or making loud noises will distract and disturb them, so try to speak softly. Our trucks do not stop very often, and the road can be quite rough and bumpy with heavy brush on both sides. This can also make photography difficult, so you may want to take your pictures when your truck is moving slowly or stopped.
Now do me a favor, folks, watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs. Those doors to your right are going to slide shut. Means you're now trapped with me for 2 weeks. So good luck with that. Let's go. Now, Jumbo again, folks. My name is Dakota, and I am a heck of a safari driver, if I do say so myself. Enough about me, though. Let's talk about you and all the ways you can make this a fun and safe safari for all our animal and human friends out there. Make sure you keep those hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times. And most importantly, remain seated at absolutely all times. I am, as a matter of fact, driving this truck. It will get pretty bumpy. An animatronic would not be half this charming. But anyway, let's go see some animals.
Yeah.
Now we are headed into the Little Aturi Forest here, folks. And the Little Aturi Forest is filled with animals that love to use their camouflage to hide from predators. And right over there to your left, you can see that orange and white striped antelope. That is a bongo. That bongo is so rare and elusive in the wild, they are known as the ghosts of the forest. Very difficult to spot. Pretty much anywhere but here. But we do not have 999 of them. Now these two big black and white birds, those are saddle-billed stork. Saddle-billed stork, pretty easy to tell apart male from female. Males have brown eyes, while the females have those really bright yellow ones. Those gray antelope on top of the hill, those are greater kudu. Those greater kudu are the second largest antelope in Africa. You can tell they're female because they don't have any horns. But those greater kudu will jump 8 feet straight up in the air. Pretty impressive, if I do say so myself. Now that guy over to your right, you can just barely see him over there, but that is an okapi. That okapi is one of my personal favorite animals on the entire reserve. Now, I know what you're thinking. It looks like he should be related to the zebra, which, that makes a lot of sense with those stripes on his legs. That's what I thought. I was wrong. It's actually the closest known relative of the giraffe. Alright, go figure. One of the reasons we know it's related to the giraffe is because of its long prehensile tongue. If you don't know what prehensile means, don't worry, I didn't either. I had to look it up. Prehensile means that tongue will wrap around something and grab it, just like a finger. So an okapi, just like a giraffe, will use that long tongue to grab onto trees and branches and anything else that may act as a source of food for them. Over there to your left, though, just barely up on that ridge, you can see a black rhino. That black rhino has a prehensile upper lip, which means he will grab and hold on to things using just his upper lip, like a finger. Now, black rhinos will weigh up to 3,000 pounds and charge at speeds of up to 35 miles an hour, which is bigger and faster than me, so I stay in the truck. But on that note, we're going to go ahead and make our way towards the Safi River region. Now, the Safi River region, folks, is a completely different ecosystem out there with lots of different animal and plant life. So make sure you keep those eyes peeled. If you have any cameras, I recommend putting them on that action or sports setting. If you're fiddling around with your smartphone, I have no idea where that setting is. I don't think that setting exists on smartphones anymore, so never mind. But it looks like we got some pink-backed pelicans out here on the Safi. You can also see that giant floating baked potato. That's a Nile hippo. But these pelicans, they are known for that pink-colored pigment of skin on their back that gets brighter during mating season. They have a wingspan that'll reach 8 to 9 feet long. Just for reference, that's the width of the canopy of this entire truck. It's a very, very big hug. Go birds. Right over there to your left, though, gonna see some more of these hippos. Now, hippos do like to spend most of their time completely submerged underwater. They will stay submerged for up to 8 minutes at a time before they have to take a breath. Now, when hippos move through the water, they are rarely swimming. Most of the time, they are just walking along the bottom, since they are so heavy and dense that they'll just sink right down to the bottom. Now, a group of hippos, if you ever see a big bunch of them all together at one time, that is called, and I swear I'm not making this up, it's called a float. A float of hippos. Pretty fantastic group name, I have to say. Right over here, though, to your left. Oh boy. Well, that's a Nile crocodile. These Nile crocodiles, they are some of the more fierce and intimidating animals on the entire reserve. On average, they're about 16 feet long. They weigh up to 500 pounds. Boy, do me a favor, folks. Hang on back there. Tightly. I do not like the way this bridge sounds. If I'm honest, it kind of feels like it was built at Universal. I'm gonna go ahead and get over the bridge. I'm really not trying to lose another truck today. Now, those crocodiles have a bite force of up to 2,000 pounds in those jaws. What's even more impressive, though, is that mommy and daddy crocodiles will roll their eggs around in their jaws as a form of helping their babies hatch. And they do that without even cracking those eggs. But crocodiles are ectothermic, which is another word that I had to look up. It means cold-blooded. So if you see them laying out in the sun with their mouths open, that's their own form of body temperature regulation, since they don't sweat. On our right-hand side, very important landmark to make our way out to the savannah. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a baobab tree. And a baobab tree is supposed to look exactly like that. It goes leafless for 9 months out of the year, and its stems look like roots, earning it the nickname the upside down tree. But it's also called the tree of life. That's because that trunk will hold thousands, and I do mean thousands of gallons of water in its trunk at a time. But welcome out to the African savannah. Lots of animal life out here. These gray antelope-looking dudes, those are wildebeest. Wildebeest are also known as gnu, spelled G-N-U here in Africa. Learn something new every day. Those wildebeest, though, they're the second largest migrating species on the planet, which means their herds travel more than every other species on Earth except for one. And that one is us. Humans. We're the only species on Earth that travel more than them. So over here to your left, got a small pack of African painted dogs, calling this den home. And these African painted dogs, they might look cute, but they are very skilled hunters. They have a hunting success rate of 80 to 90%. That's higher than lions and hyenas combined. So they are just adorable little murder machines. Very social animals, though. They mate for life, and their packs are led by an alpha male and female. To your left, got those brown antelope with the curved horns. Those are sable antelope. Those sable antelope are the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, and that's because, unlike most prey animals, they'll pretty much always choose to fight instead of flight when encountered by predators. Meanwhile, these big brown cows with the huge horns, these are Ankole cattle. Now, the horns on these Ankole cattle will reach up to 8 feet long from tip to tip. They might look like they weigh a ton, but those horns are actually quite light. It's because they're hollow. They have a honeycomb structure within that allows their blood flow to increase into those horns or decrease out of them to control their body temperature. Think of those horns like their own form of AC. Right here, though, we got a whole tower of Maasai giraffe. Now, these Maasai giraffe are the tallest animals on the planet, yet as long as that neck is, they've only got 7 vertebrae in it, and that is the exact same amount of bones as us humans have in our neck. difference is our neck bones are about 1 centimeter, and theirs are a good foot long each.
Oh, man.
For these giraffes, though, it's pretty difficult for them to get down to the ground and back up again with their big bodies and long legs, so they will do just about everything standing up, eating, sleeping, even giving birth. So a baby giraffe starts off its life with a 6-foot drop straight to the ground.
Wow.
Talk about your Tower of Terror. Now right there, that's a whole dazzle of Hartman's Mountain zebra. Each zebra has its own unique set of stripes, its own pattern, kind of like a fingerprint. Baby zebra, as adorable as they are, have some pretty incredible instincts. They can tell their mother's stripes apart from any other zebra in the herd right from birth. Think of it like a barcode scanner. But I have to be completely honest with you guys about those zebras we just saw. I could not be any of those giraffe. Me personally, I just couldn't do it. There's no way. I honestly doubt you could either. It's because a giraffe only sleeps on average about 30 minutes a day. They do that with their eyes wide open and standing up. So absolutely none of this would be a pretty picture for your driver, I promise. But right there to your right, up on top of the hill, you can see those tiny beige-colored little antelope. Those are springbok. And believe it or not, those springbok are fully grown. That's as big as they get. They are tiny. Those are adults, not babies. But those springbok are pretty accurately named because they'll jump 13 feet forward in the air. I like to do something called pronking, which is where they jump up and down like a pogo stick. And that's how they warn other members of their herd of predators. We are coming up to a lot of knockdown trees right here. But these trees are usually a good indicator that we are entering elephant country. Elephants like to knock down these trees quite a bit, and sure enough, you got your first African elephants of the day. Now you can tell they are African elephants by the shape of their ears. They are different than other species of elephants, like Asian, for example, but they kind of resemble the continent of Africa in shape, if you look at them. Pretty good look at those African elephants. Let's see if we can get an even better view here. Hang on, guys. There you go, right there towards your right. Now you can see those elephants just kind of flapping their ears at us if you look at them for long enough. There is a reason for that. They're not just saying hi, although they are quite polite. No, they're not trying to fly either. Elephants have blood vessels that run all throughout their ears. So when they flap their ears, they can cool that blood flow down and thus cool their body temperature down up to 15 degrees at a time. Yeah, I wish. We'll call it ear conditioning. You did hear me mention, though, about elephants knocking down trees. This is something that they do, frankly, all the time to get to those leaves to the top for that food source, and I have to say, it's pretty darn easy for them. Elephants have more muscles in just their trunk than in the entire human body combined. They have over 100,000 different muscles composing just their trunk. Very strong and very impressive creatures, to say the absolute least. Now on either side of the trunk, we're going to see some tusk marks here in this red clay. That's pretty common. Elephants often like to scrape off of that clay with their tusks and eat it as a food source. It's very rich in essential vitamins and minerals for them. So think less Play-Doh and more, well, your essential elephant multivitamin. Sure, we'll go with that. Now, elephants are a matriarchal species. It means that their herds are led by the oldest and wisest female. Once male elephants reach adulthood, they are kicked out of the herd. Sometimes they'll go solitary. Other times they'll form smaller bachelor herds of male elephants. If you ever see an elephant by himself, that's most likely a male, but you can see that pretty young elephant over there. She's getting close to 2 years old. Now, something you might be starting to notice about all these elephants is that they're kind of dirty. They got a lot of dirt, mud, sand, and hay all over their backs, covering their skin. That's completely intentional. You see, elephants have extremely sensitive skin. So in order to protect that skin from the sun, they'll gather up dirt, mud, sand, hay, anything else they can find with their trunks and throw it all over their backs, covering their skin. That's their own form of sunscreen. They do that all the time, and they do it all themselves, especially on sunny days like today. Now over to your left, you got an entire flamboyance of greater flamingos. A flamboyance. Do not look at me. I have no idea who came up with that. But these greater flamingos, they do hatch completely gray. If you see any gray markings along their beak or in their feathers, it's just because they're young. It takes them a few years to get that pink color, and they get it from the amount of beta carotene they consume from their diets of shrimp and other crustaceans. Also, take a look at that island they're standing on. Should have a pretty familiar shape. Coming up here to your left, though, got a pretty big mud pit right here. Now, mud pits such as these usually do a good job of attracting some of the larger inhabitants on the reserve, like rhinos, for example. Rhinos do often like to roll around in mud pits such as these as a method of cooling themselves off and protecting their skin, just like elephants, and just for fun. I mean, they're rhinos, why not? The type of rhinos I've usually seen around this area, they're usually white rhinos, and white rhinos are usually pretty hard to miss because they're much bigger and heavier than black rhinos, weighing 4,000 to 5,000 pounds each. So we'll keep our eyes out for them. Also keep an eye out up on these hills. Hills like these tend to make good hunting grounds for various species of predators. There they are, all the way to the right over here. You can just barely see some cheetahs. Those cheetahs are the fastest land animals on the planet. They'll run at speeds of up to 70 miles an hour. That's 70. It only takes them 3 seconds to get up to that speed. They are sprinters though, so they can't hold that top speed for very long. Really only a couple 100 yards, which is good because this truck only goes about 20. But if those cheetahs remind you of your regular house cats, and I know they definitely remind me of my cat back at home, they honestly should. Cheetahs are some of the biggest cats in the world that can purr and meow. They also chirp like a bird. It's really, really cute. Cheetah's claws, though, they do not retract, unlike other species of cats. They are always out. Think of it like an athlete wearing cleats. Looks like we found those rhinos we were looking for, though, right up there to your right. Now, that is a white rhino. The term white is actually a mistranslation of the Afrikaans term wide, which means wide. It refers to the wide nature of their mouths. There's really next to no difference in color between black and white rhinos, so I just refer to all of them by their scientific name, the chubby unicorn. Makes it a lot easier. But speaking of cats, got some lions up here on this Kobe Rock. They are doing what lions do for most of the day, which is lying around. They rest on average 16 hours a day, much more my speed than giraffe. Lions, though, most of the hunting in a pride of lions is done by the females, while the male stays back and guards the cubs. I hate to burst your bubble on this, though, folks, but lions do not purr and meow like cheetahs or house cats. They roar. And when they roar at full strength, it can be heard from up to 5 miles away. Very loud, very impressive to say the absolute least. But these burrows over here usually make a good home to various species of burrowing animals, like warthogs, for example. Warthogs are the largest burrowing animals in Africa. If you see one, I would not recommend calling him Pumbaa to his face. Pumbaa in Swahili means foolish one. It's kind of ironic since they're some of the smartest animals on the reserve. Now those guys over there to your right, those are ostriches. Those ostriches are the largest birds on the planet. They'll run at speeds of up to 40 miles an hour. That's an absolutely blisteringly fast pace that they use approximately none of to cross the road. You could trust me on this, I promise. To your right, got some eggs over there in the dirt. Those are ostrich eggs. Those ostrich eggs will weigh 3 to 4 pounds per egg. They're so sturdy that an adult human male could stand on them and they wouldn't even crack. Wow. Not that I recommend giving this a try.
No.
Ostriches run at 40 miles an hour and you do not. So probably not the best idea to stand on their eggs. Right here though, folks, we are entering Magadi Glen. Now Magadi Glen is home to a pretty neat conservation story. Our local warden is raising a small herd of Nigerian dwarf goats. And these dwarf goats do look small, but most of them are fully grown. That's as big as they get. They help us out with conservation by secreting a sweet flavor of milk. So by farming these smaller animals instead of dairy products, instead of larger ones, we could cut back on a lot of habitat and land used for those products. They're also just really cute to keep around. Not really an animal fact. Actually, you know what? Heck with it. That's an animal fact. Look at them. They're adorable. I have that authority. Maybe. I can make that an animal fact. They're objectively cute. Now, as I make my way through this gate, it means that we are headed back. Whoa. Give me a second here, folks. There's a goat out of the pen. It's your driver. You get it? Greatest of all. Yeah, y'all got the joke. Never mind. But anyway, folks, as I do make my way through this gate and onto this road, it does mean that we are making our way back towards the village, which means that your time with yours truly is drawing to an end. Which I have to say, that was a pretty darn quick safari. 2-week safari took me like 20 minutes. Jeez. Still though, folks, even though this journey of ours is ending, our journey towards the conservation of these animals and their habitat still continues. A couple ways you can help with that journey is by donating to the Disney Conservation Fund. Any donation you make will be matched dollar for dollar for these animals and their habitats. Another really great way to help, that's just by recycling. Recycling everything you can helps. Make sure you do that. But here in Africa, we really do not like to say goodbye because it's just far too sad and way too final. So instead, I'm going to teach you a Swahili term called kwaherini, which just means hurry up and get out of my truck. I'm kidding, it means go well. So make sure you folks do that for me today. Make sure you go well. If you enjoyed my safari, my name was Dakota, all the way from Palaca, Florida. If I have any wilderness explorers aboard, you're on board the one and only Simba 1. Now, do me a favor. Watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs. Doors to your right-hand side are sliding open. Watch your step as you get out. Thank you very much. Kwaherini. Have a great day, guys.
Kwaherini. We're back at the kingdom. Hope you enjoyed the tour and see you next time. Continue to watch BattleWeeks 34 and other videos on the Penguins channel.